Hi, I'm Holly Andrews, Integrative Nutrition Health Coach and Stress Recovery Coach. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the kitchen. We are still continuing our pumpkin themed recipes for the month of October, and today I have a special treat for you in my Halloween pumpkin chocolate chip bars. Why Halloween? Well, because Halloween is coming up here really soon, and these bars make a perfect pre-trick-or-treating snack for your kiddos or yourself to make sure that you are giving your body some extra goodness ahead of what tends to be a very sugar-filled evening. So we've got some of the really classic ingredients that we've been using all month long, just combined in a different way, and those are the bars. So obviously we have our pumpkin, and we've talked about this, lots of fiber, lots of beta carotene, which our bodies use to turn into vitamin A, and so goodness in the pumpkin. Almond flour for this recipe, which adds healthy fats. It keeps it gluten-free, which I love. Obviously, if you've been following me for a while, you know that. We've also got some protein powder to kind of give it a little bit of a protein boost. These bars are definitely more carbs and healthy fats than protein, but you could easily pair these bars with some extra protein, like they would go really great broken up into some Greek yogurt or something along those lines if you wanted some extra protein there. We've got maple syrup as the sweetener. You know I love using maple syrup because it just blends in so nicely for that natural sweetness that's lower on the glycemic index and not going to spike our blood sugars like refined sugar would. So we've got some of those flavors, and of course the maple also adds to that flavor of fall that we want. And we've got our spices and our pumpkin pie spice and our cinnamon. All of those spices help to regulate insulin sensitivity and keep our blood sugar stable, so goodness there. And then I've got some coconut oil. I'm using coconut oil here in this recipe. Again, really good healthy fats in that coconut oil with those medium chain triglycerides, so all kinds of goodness there. And then for an extra little twist and goodness for the kids especially, I've got some mini dark chocolate chips. And of course, dark chocolate is actually full of antioxidants. It's got magnesium in it. So a little bit of the dark chocolate chips is not going to hurt anything or anyone, and it just makes these bars extra fun. So I did use the allergen-friendly chocolate chips for this recipe. So they are dairy-free, gluten-free, soy-free, the top 9 allergy-free. So really good there to keep these bars gluten-free if that is important to you, like it is to me. And they are super simple to throw together. So before I started filming off camera, I melted my coconut oil. We talked about this, I believe it was last week, that you want to melt your coconut oil and let it cool slightly, especially when you're using eggs in a recipe, so that the hot oil doesn't cook and curdle your eggs. So I went ahead and I melted my 1/4 cup of coconut oil ahead of time, so that way it would have a chance to cool. It also helped that I was using leftover pumpkin from other recipes, and that had been in the refrigerator, so the cold pumpkin helped also to cool the coconut oil. But got the coconut oil melted, cracked my eggs ahead of time, and pre-measured out my protein powder. Got all of that done before I started filming, so that when it came time, I could just mix everything together. So I started by mixing my wet ingredients. So that was my 3/4 of a cup of pumpkin. I had 1/4 cup of maple syrup. I had the 1/4 cup of melted coconut oil, and then my 2 eggs and a teaspoon of vanilla. So I whisked that together, got it really nice and blended and smooth, and then I added in my dry ingredients. So that was my cup of almond flour, 1/4 cup of vanilla protein powder. You could try using pumpkin spice protein powder, but I just chose to stick with the vanilla here. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So mixed all of that together and got it into this really nice batter. And then I folded in 1/3 cup of the mini dark chocolate chips, and that was it. It was so simple. It went by like that. So I lined an 8x8 pan with parchment paper, and then poured the batter in and got it as smooth as possible, like made sure to try to get it into the edges and made sure to try to get the batter as evenly distributed as possible before popping it into my 350-degree oven, which I preheated, and put those bars in for 24 minutes. And I'll check them when they're done to make sure that they are done, and then let them cool before cutting them. All right, so the bars are done. I did actually put them back in for an extra couple of minutes. So in all told, it took 26 minutes for these to bake. Then I pulled them out of the oven. I took the whole thing with the parchment paper out of the pan, set it aside on a cooling rack to cool down for about 15 minutes before cutting them. I probably could have let them go a little bit longer to cool down before cutting them, but I am in a time crunch today. So for my own sake, I let them cool about 15 minutes, cut them into 12, and they made these beautiful bars. They are cakey, but they taste really, really good and will make the perfect pre-trick-or-treating snack for your kiddos, or a great after-school snack, or even something that you could take for a snack to work. So I really hope you enjoy the recipe. As always, be sure to check out Holly Andrews Coaching on social media for more tips, tricks, recipes, etc. Of course, you can join my free online community with my free resources and recipes. I also have my exclusive recipe club with recipes, 10 recipes a month just for club members, not anything you're going to see here on the channel. So if you enjoy the recipes here on the channel, be sure to check that out. I've also got my digital course. I have my coaching program, my lab testing. So be sure to check all of that out at the link in the notes. And we've got one more pumpkin themed recipe because the blog will drop it still in October, although you may not see it here on the channel until the very beginning of November. But we've got one more pumpkin recipe to go. I hope you've enjoyed this series on using pumpkin. And until next time, I'm Holly Andrews, and I believe that you can heal your stress from the inside out.